All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're figuring out what the biblical text tells us about finding our ultimate safe space. We all have those days, right? When the world just feels a little too loud, way too busy, or honestly, just kind of scary. So, we're going to look at this absolutely amazing piece of writing from the biblical text, specifically Psalm 62. It was written by a guy named David. He knew exactly what it felt like to need a safe place, and he wrote down some really incredible things to help us find ours. So, I want you to stop and just think for a second. Where do you actually go when you want to feel totally safe? Like maybe you have a favorite hiding spot when things get a bit wobbly in life? Is it a tree house out in the backyard? Or maybe one of those epic cozy blanket forts you build right in the living room? Or hey, maybe it's just hiding under the covers of your bed with a flashlight and a really good book. We all look for these physical places to protect us, don't we? But the biblical text, it's going to show us a totally different kind of hiding spot, one that is way stronger than literally the best blanket fort ever built. Section 1. Finding rest in Him, pouring out our hearts. Check out this incredibly punchy line straight from the biblical text. David writes, "Truly, my soul finds rest in God." Now, your body finds rest by sleeping, sure, but your inside self, your soul, that needs a completely different kind of rest. And notice, he doesn't say his soul finds rest in playing video games for hours or having a mountain of toys or even just having a perfectly easy day. True peace and the kind of salvation that actually rescues us from our biggest worries, that comes entirely from Him alone. To really wrap our heads around this, we need to talk about a very special word used in the text: refuge. A refuge is, quite simply, a safe place to hide when things get scary. Think of it like playing a giant, intense game of tag. When you're running away and the person who is it is right on your heels, touching base makes you completely safe, right? You can finally stop running, catch your breath, because they can't tag you anymore. Well, the biblical text uses this big word to describe Him as our absolute perfect hiding place. When life is chasing you down, He is your base. Section 2. Our rock and fortress, unshakable strength. You gotta remember, David wasn't just sitting in some quiet, comfy room when he wrote this. He was a literal warrior and a king who faced actual, real-life battles. So he uses these intense words. He is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. I want you to picture a giant, unshakable stone castle sitting right on top of a massive mountain. It has these huge, super thick walls that absolutely nothing can break through. When you're inside that kind of fortress, even if a crazy, massive storm is raging outside, you are completely safe. The text is telling us that because He is our fortress, we will never, ever be shaken. Section 3. Facing troubles and lies, when things feel wobbly. Now, of course, a fortress is only needed because there are tough things outside that we need protection from, right? And the text brilliantly illustrates this huge contrast between His unbreakable strength and the totally wobbly, fragile things of the world. On one hand, you have His absolute strength, the mighty rock, the fortress, the refuge. But on the other hand, how does the biblical text describe David's enemies and the troubles of the world? It calls them a leaning wall and a tottering fence. Have you ever leaned up against an old, broken wooden fence and it wobbled so much you thought it was literally going to snap and crash to the ground? That is exactly how the text describes the things that try to scare us. They might look super tall and scary, but they're actually super fragile and just about to fall over. Let's look a little closer at how these troubles actually act. The biblical text describes people who assault and try to throw you down. They actively want to topple you from good places. They literally take delight in telling lies. And here's the absolute trickiest part. It says, with their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Have you ever met someone like that? It means people who act super nice to your face on the outside, but harbor mean, bullying intentions on the inside. It's incredibly stressful and dramatic to be in a situation where people are acting totally two-faced. So the crucial point here is that when we face these kinds of mean attacks, we don't just hold all our sadness and anger stuffed inside. The text says, trust in Him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart to Him. Think about a big pitcher full of water. If you tip it completely upside down, all the water pours out until it is totally, completely empty. He wants us to do exactly that with our feelings. Talk to Him about your stress, your fear, your bullies, your really bad days. Just empty it all out to Him. Section 4. What not to trust. False hopes. The biblical text also gives us a huge warning about the silly things people mistakenly trust in instead of Him. Imagine a giant balance scale, the kind you might see in a science classroom. If you pile human power on one side, what happens? The text says that regular people, the quote, lowborn, are just a breath. But even the most important, famous, high-up people, the highborn, are a lie. If you put literally all the people in the world on a balance scale, they weigh absolutely nothing compared to him. They are as light as a single puff of air. Only his power is truly solid and reliable.
The biblical text explicitly lists out the false hopes we definitely need to avoid. It says, do not trust in extortion, which is just a big word for taking things from people by force. Do not put vain hope in stolen goods. And listen to this one. Even if your riches increase, like even if you get a ton of money or the absolute coolest new toys, do not set your heart on them. Why? Because money, cool things, and bad actions can never, ever build a true fortress around your soul. If you put your trust in those things, you're always going to be shaken.
Section 5. Power and unfailing love. The ultimate reassurance. Now, after all that talk of wobbly fences and lies and false hopes, the writer brings us to a place of total calm. David writes, "One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard." I just love how this is written. It's like David is leaning in real close, whispering, hey, listen up. Out of everything I've learned, there are two massive facts I heard from him that you simply have to remember. And here is that amazing combination. Number 1, power belongs to him. And number 2, with him is unfailing love. Think about why you absolutely need both of those together. If someone has a lot of power but absolutely no love, well, they can just be a big bully, right? But if someone has a ton of love but zero power, they might really want to help you, but they just aren't strong enough to stop the bad things from happening. But he is completely different. He is strong enough to protect us from literally anything, and he loves us with this unfailing love that never ever runs out. Now that is the ultimate safe space. The very last thing the text reminds us is that he rewards everyone according to what they've done. Because he has all the power and all the love, he's also perfectly fair. He sees everything we do. He sees when people are mean to us, and he definitely sees when we make the choice to do the right thing, even when it's super hard. Our honor, our worth, and our safety, they depend entirely on him, not on whatever other people might say about us. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one really big question to think about. How will you trust him and make him your fortress this week? When you feel worried, are you going to pour out your heart to him like that pitcher of water? When the world feels totally wobbly, will you remember that he is your unshakable rock? I want you to take that challenge with you. Rely on his unbreakable strength and his unfailing love every single day. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the biblical text. Keep learning, keep trusting, and we'll see you next time.